confused by Pro Tools? I've got you covered. Hiya, it's Charlie T Music here. Welcome to Learn Pro Tools with me, Charlie T. This is a series of videos, lessons, if you want to call it that you can watch in order. And by the end of it, you're going to be a Pro Tools wizard. And I've put the course link right down below. In this video, we're going to open Pro Tools, create your very first session, and take like a little tour around the place. We'll look at the edit window, the mix window, so that you know where everything is. And this is essential stuff when you first start using any DAW, not just Pro Tools, because they can be an absolute fun sponge. I'm going to start with a blank session from the beginning, and you can follow along with this, pause as you need to, and start to get to know Pro Tools. We are going to load Pro Tools up. Some people call it Slow Tools because it does take a little while to kick in. It will start to scan through your plugins, and there we go. Best thing to do before you start on a session is to check your Playback Engine. We go to Setup, and then we go to Playback Engine. This is just telling Pro Tools what it should use to run the audio engine. Now on other DAWs, you have the option to select different inputs and outputs. On Pro Tools, you run from just one place. I am running from my interface, which is called this Quartet. If I didn't have this Quartet plugged in, I could run from my MacBook Pro speakers. If you also plug in headphones, then it would say external headphones. So you just click on the one that's relevant for you. I'm going to stick with Quartet. Then we've got buffer size. Buffer size is to do with how much CPU is allocated from your system to your DAW. And the best way to think about it is that if you're going to be mixing, you want the number to be high. If you're going to be recording audio or recording MIDI, you want the number to be lower. If my system starts to get a bit laggy, or I get that little pop-up box that says system overload because I've got too many plugins, then you can just come back here at any time and increase the buffer size however you need to. So we're just going to press OK to come out of there. And now we're going to open a new session. There's a few ways to do it. You can go to File and then New, but you can see there we have a shortcut. Shortcuts are how you improve your workflow in any DAW, not just Pro Tools. There's going to be a lot of shortcuts going on, people. To create a new session, Command N. Then we get this little box pop up. Firstly, we need to name it. Getting started with Pro Tools. Local storage, I'm going to store it locally. I'm going to put it into WAV. Sample rate, I tend to keep mine 48K, and then 24-bit or 32-bit float. You also want to make sure that your session is in interleaved. Then we're going to press Create, and it's going to ask where I want to save it. Today, I'm just going to save it onto my desktop. I would definitely recommend having an external hard drive where your projects can run from. I tend to not keep my projects on my computer. My hard drive on my computer is just for all my applications, documents, all that kind of stuff. And then I have two hard drives up here, my audio drive, all of my projects live on here. And then my CT Music drive up there, that's all my libraries of sounds. So then we're gonna press save, and then Pro Tools is gonna open up, and it's gonna look like this. If for some reason Pro Tools doesn't open like this, it might open like this, where you're like, okay, I know I'm in Pro Tools, but I can't see anything. It's basically just, it hasn't opened your windows. But there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can click on Window up here and go to Mix or Edit, or you can press Command and equals, which will show you your mix window and your edit window. These are the two main windows in Pro Tools that you're going to be in most of the time. So it might be a little bit annoying because these are not full screen, and you can just drag these out if you want to. But if you go up to this tiny little green box up here, if you just click this, it will like take over the screen, and it's quite annoying. But if you hold down Option, you can see it turns to a little plus sign. Plus will just maximize it to your screen, but it means that you can still move the window around if you want to. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open the session with some stuff in it, so you can kind of see what Pro Tools looks like when the things are going on. Here I've got a session open of a track that I finished recently. It consists of lots of drums, there's lots of like sample elements, but there's also some synthesizers, MIDI stuff, there's vocals, vocal effects. Firstly, your Pro Tools might look a little bit different to mine, but that's because I run in something called dark mode. So if I go to classic, that might be what your Pro Tools looks like, but if you want to go to dark mode, that is the way to do it. I prefer it in dark mode personally, but you can have it in whatever mode you want. So straight off the bat, this is called your edit window. So anytime you want to edit any audio, or you want to chop stuff up, or you want to move things around, whatever you might want to do, this is where you're going to do it. What you can see in this window is going to depend on what you have selected in this little corner over here. So first secret unlocked for Pro Tools is that there's lots of little things everywhere that look like they don't do anything, but they're actually controls. So up here, you have your view options, the display options for what you can see when you're in your edit window. and I can just click on whether I want to see all my inserts, whether I want to see my objects, my real-time properties, all these things. You can have it as complicated or as simple as you like. And then if I press Command equals and flick to my mix window, there you have the same options again. You can right click here and you can do exactly the same thing. This is your display options for your mix window. If I go back to my edit window, and we're going to start up here, and we have our modes. So firstly, you have grid mode. Grid mode is related to your BPM. You can see that I'm at 124. Slip is just like free reign. Let's say you're editing something like vocals. If you're in grid mode, you're very limited as to what selections you can make. You can see that it is just locked onto the grid. But slip mode, it means that it's free and easy for you to use and do what you want. Spot mode is mainly used for video editing, so that means that you can adjust and move things onto a specific piece of time code or minutes and seconds, feet and frames. If you're going to be doing audio in Pro Tools, you're probably not going to use this very often. And then over here you have shuffle. Shuffle is about literally you shuffling things around. Say I wanted to remove this chorus. If I was in grid mode, then I deleted this. There's just a big old gap in the middle. However, if I go to shuffle and then press delete, it actually shifts everything to fill the gap. So shuffle is great if you want to remove a section. Unfortunately, the thing with shuffle is for some reason it defaults in slip mode. So that means it's not to your grid. So if you hold down shift, you can actually select shuffle and grid together, which means that if you wanted to delete this section, there you go. You have grid shuffle combined. So over here, then you've got your zoom functions. All of these are just automatically calibrated to different zoom levels. These tools up here are to do with visuals of your waveforms. So your waveforms are these things on all your clips. If I turn that up, it makes the waveform bigger or it makes the waveform smaller. It doesn't affect the volume of it, it's just the visuals. And this does the same with your MIDI clips. That's why they're little blocks. This right here is all your editing tools. Then you've got your counters and things when you've selected stuff. This will tell you where you've selected, how long you've selected for. You can have this in bars and beats or minutes and seconds. You can have it in time code. Then you have your grid resolution here. So this is determining the increments of your grid, whether it's quarter notes, eighth notes. Then you have your kind of start and end sections here where you can add pre-roll, post-roll. They're really good for when you're recording. You've got your stop and loop functions here, your recording options here. We will come back to all of those, don't you worry. Then you've got your MIDI controls here. This is your click track, your metronome. You've got your little meters here, and then you've got your quantize functions here. This is all to do with what grid you're going to quantize it onto. This thing at the top is called your universe. If you right click or if you click on this tiny little button up here that looks like it doesn't do anything, you can customize what it is that you can see at the top. Over here, we have a very important little button called keyboard focus. When this box is turned off, it deactivates all of your shortcuts. This is when it's engaged. This is when it's turned off. So it's important to make sure that this is always on if you're using a traditional keyboard like I am. This thing here is the same control as over here, where we could make our waveforms bigger and smaller. This does exactly the same thing. Even though it looks like it's not a button, it is a button. You just click at the top and the bottom, and it's the same with the MIDI. So then if we work our way over to the left-hand side over here, this is your track list. So this is all the tracks that are in the session. Some of them are accompanied by a little dot, and some of them, that dot has been grayed out. That's because you have different states your tracks can be in. Right now, the ones with the dots on, they are active tracks. So if I select my kick drum up here, you can see that that is this track. And if I go down and click any of these are the active tracks in my session. These are inactive tracks in my session. So if I go and right click on that and I go to show, I have now loaded the track into my edit window, but it's still grayed out. I can go one step further and go make active. This is great because it means if you have a track that you don't want to delete, but you don't need your computer to be processing it all the time or playing it back, or you've just got too many tracks and you're like, right, I need to tidy this up. You can just right click on this and press hide and make inactive. And it will keep it in your session, but it will just make it inactive and keep it in your track list if you need it later. If I then go to the bottom down here, we have our groups. Now you can group tracks together however you want. If I now flick to my mix window, which is Command equals, right in the middle here, there is a group called Light AS, and these are all assigned to that group. You can make as many different groups as you want, and you can control all the faders together, or there can be smaller groups that are editing groups. For example, if I went in and I wanted to chop all of these when things are in groups together, you can see that I'm just clicking on one track, but it's actually selecting all the tracks that are in the groups. Doesn't matter which order your tracks are in, wherever they are, if they are in the same group, you will select them. This can be really, really useful for editing, but also for adjusting an entire bank of faders or adjusting an entire mix. Groups are really, really useful. So then if I flick back to my edit window, and then I just hover over the very edge of my session here, and you can see that my mouse turns into a different shape. And if I double click, you reveal your clip list. This is all of the audio files that are in your session. The way that Pro Tools organizes these is that bold is normally the original file, and then a grayer kind of not bold version are different versions of that audio file. So if, for example, if I select this little bit here on this lead vocal section, as soon as I cut this, you can see that here it has created 2 new files because we have changed this original vocal file. This is where it started, and this is how many edits that particular audio file has had. Over the course of an entire session, you will get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these files, but they're all kept and logged just in case you need them. So now if I go back to my mix window and we look at one of these tracks, you can select a track by clicking on the actual name of the track. You can move tracks around wherever you want. You can select lots of different banks of tracks, or you can select only maybe a few tracks. To select all, you press Alt, or it's now called Option. So you'd press Option and then click. To unselect all of those, you do again, you press Option and then you click. To select individual ones, you can hold down Command, and that means they don't have to be together, they can just be anywhere. If you wanted to do like all of these ones together, you can press Shift, and that means you can select all of these tracks. And if we work from the top, you have your inserts. Inserts are places where you put your plugins. We will come back to these, we're going to look at all of these, don't you worry. Your send section is where you can create sends to different places within your DAW. Don't worry, we're going to come back to that. Then you have your input of your track and your output. Your output is probably going to be set to the output of your computer. Then you have your automation functions. Then you have your groups. If I turn the groups on, which is Command Shift G, you can see that the groups come back on. And if I turn them off, then they go away again. Then you have your pan pots. This is about where things are placed in your stereo field. Very, very important. We'll come back to panning, don't worry about that. Then you have a few options here. You have input monitoring, you have record arm, you have solo, and you have mute. Then you have your fader, and then down here you have some other information and some indicators as to what kind of track this is, but we're gonna come back to that, so don't worry right now. Very tasty. You have organized your first Pro Tools session. So in the next video, I've got 10 amazing tips for what you should do when you first open Pro Tools. Where to find certain things, how to load up like a click track, and lots of other cool stuff. So you can watch that video next. If you like this one, you kind of know what to do at this point. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, become part of the Charlie T Music Academy, and I'll see you in the next one. Big love. Goodbye.